Hi, Dr. Bhattacharya. My name is Colette Delawala. I'm the founder and CEO of Stand Up for Science and a PhD candidate in clinical psychology at Emory University. And I want to just zoom out for a second with my question, because I certainly appreciate, being in the weeds of policy, but we have this sort of, larger anti-science movement that's happening that I think all of us in this room really feel and understand is happening right now. And so the version of you that I'm hearing right now is a little bit different than the version of you that I heard speaking at the MAHA Action event on Wednesday. And this is a well-funded Kennedy Front group, and you were introduced by Tony Lyons. Russell Brand was also a speaker here. And one of the things that I from somebody that is so pro-dissent, that is so pro-pushing against, ideas that you don't necessarily agree with, at this meeting, there was a lot of conversation about how vaccines like polio, Hep B, MMR, that the vaccines themselves are worse than the disease. And so my question for you is, you didn't dissent in that moment, and so I wanted to give you an opportunity to dissent. Do you think that the vaccines are worse than the disease? And if you don't think that, then lending your name and the reputation of the NIH to such a platform and not defending something that is, pretty heavily replicated, actually, that polio vaccines are good. And so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to, zoom out a little bit there.
Okay, so there's a lot to that question. So let me just first preface it with on the MAHA event, there was no opportunity to dissent. I had a 5-minute speech, and then other people had 5-minute speeches. I think the premise of that question is flawed, because I think if you think of science as you must have some pure opinion about X, Y, or Z, you're not doing science. And just again, now let's zoom out. If you want to understand why we're in the moment where we are, where there's so much sort of pressure on scientists, it's because of that sort of almost purity test aspect of it, rather than the sort of collaborative scientific spirit that I think actually makes science flourish. The American people are the reason why we have had the most, the NIH has been the institute it is. It's Congress, and I've had now the opportunity to talk with dozens and dozens of members of Congress on both parties, and there's pretty widespread support for research, for the research enterprise of the country. If you treat the American people and say, well, you guys are anti-science and these guys are not pro-science, you're gonna see that support dry up. You have to treat everybody with respect. And I don't believe that what you call the anti-science movement is actually anti-science. What they want is be part of the conversation. And I think having a broader political base for people who are interested in the product of science, and that's why I think the MAHA movement is so important. That's because what you have is a large number of people who are desperate to have the products of science improve their lives. We haven't seen an increase in life expectancy in this country since 2010. All the big advances in biomedicine that we've had in the last several decades have not translated over to better, healthier lives for the American people. In aggregate.
Doctor, you would have agreed that the polio vaccine, the MMR vaccine...
I'm getting to that promise, yeah.
They have saved hundreds of millions of lives.
I am a big believer in the childhood vaccines, right? So I'm a big believer in, I think the MMR vaccine is tremendous. I've vaccinated all my kids. But I think that if you start from the kind of premise that you started with, that look, there's these anti-science people and these pro-science people, and you better align with this set of people, or you're one of the irrational bad guys. That's a recipe for destroying the consensus in this country in science.